I refused to give a creepy hitchhiker a ride. Minutes later, my car broke down. When I recount this story at parties, I tell it like a joke. I play up the great, cosmic justice of it all, framing the moment my car came to a stop as a kind of cheesy punchline. In reality, the events of that night remain the most harrowing of my entire life. It was 2014, and I was a senior in high school. At the time, I lived in Central Texas, but my brother was in school in Colorado. Since he was graduating soon and I hadn't yet visited, I decided to drive out to him when our spring breaks aligned. The only issue was that I technically wasn't supposed to be driving. Believe it or not, despite being a dumbass 18-year-old who liked to drive fast, I'd never had a traffic violation. Never even gotten a parking ticket. I did, unfortunately, get caught drinking with my buddies a week prior to the drive. My license was suspended for 30 days, but I didn't let that stop me. I was going to see my brother one way or another, so I left late in the day, chugged Red Bulls to stay alert, and stuck to the back roads as much as possible. It added a few hours to my trip, but it allowed me to avoid state troopers for the most part. By midnight, I felt like I was in the Australian outback. I had taken road trips through my state before, but this particular route was something else. Nothing but scrub brush and signs too weather-beaten to read. I was so busy thinking about how utterly isolated I was that I almost missed the orange traffic cone in the road, placed square atop a yellow center line. I reduced my speed, but I didn't stop. I was confident that there was no work being done on the road. I had checked the maps, and there would have been more signage. Since I knew there was no construction in the area, I found the placement of the cone a little odd. Of course, junk on the road isn't such a rarity, but the way it aligned perfectly with the meridian line felt intentional. A few miles later, my drive was again interrupted. My high beams reached far into the desolate night, providing enough visibility for me to see another oddity. There was something else in the road, this time in my lane. I squinted. Another traffic cone? It was tall enough, but not quite thin enough. I slowed down a little more. I remember thinking, that can't possibly be a person. I got a little closer. Lo and behold, it was. I veered into the other lane, but the person in the road mirrored my car, clearly trying to get me to stop. They threw one of their arms out as if welcoming the cold, metal embrace of my front bumper. I slammed on the brakes abruptly enough to give myself whiplash. Confusion and anger rose up in me as I turned my headlights down and got a better look at the person in front of me. I regretted stopping once I could see the man more clearly. At first glance, he seemed like a normal guy. He was tall and middle-aged, clad in blue jeans and a long, tan coat. He had no particularly distinct facial features, except for a set of blue eyes that somehow seemed too small for his face. He gave me a wide grin when he saw me stop. I guess he could have just been relieved, but I couldn't give him the benefit of the doubt due to what he was holding. Balled up in his hand was something small, furry, and bloody. I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but it kind of looked like a dead rat. I had no idea why he'd be holding such a thing, and it didn't really matter. All I knew was that there was something wrong with the guy, a suspicion only exacerbated by the fact that he still had one of his hands behind his back. Was he hiding something? A weapon? I took my foot off the brake. I might have been dumb enough to stop, but at least I wasn't dumb enough to stay. As I tried to maneuver around him, the man again moved in front of my car, but when he saw I wasn't going to stop, he took a step back. As he did so, he let his arms fall to his sides, and I saw what he'd been concealing behind his back, a large claw hammer. I sped off, not entirely believing what had just happened. There was a small chance that the guy genuinely needed help, but I sure wasn't going to stick around to figure that out. As I drove off, I looked in my rearview mirror. Before the darkness swallowed him, I saw the man starting to run after my car. For a second, the sight made me nervous, but then it just made me laugh. Did he actually think he was going to catch up? I watched him disappear from view with a smile on my face. Fucking idiot, I said to myself. Now here's the punchline. No sooner did the words leave my mouth than my car jolted forward with a sickening thud. I looked back at the road, but it was too late. There came several pops in quick succession, loud as gunshots. My dashboard lit up like a switchboard, warnings blinking uselessly as my tires chewed themselves to pieces beneath me. The car started to drag left, the steering wheel fighting me as a low, flapping sound rose you.